When Burkina Faso's young leader Ibrahim Traoré faced one of the most difficult decisions of his life, the sun had not yet risen. The secret recordings in his hands clearly revealed that his most trusted general was plotting a coup against him. This story tells of the moment a leader was betrayed, the courageous decision he made, and the dawn that changed a nation's destiny. You will witness how trust can crumble in an instant, the dark side of politics, and what true patriotism truly means. The quiet streets of Ouagadougou had not yet seen the dawn. In the corridors of the presidential palace, only the footsteps of guards echoed. Ibrahim Traoré sat at his desk reading the file in front of him for the third time. Every line, every word confirmed his suspicions about one of his most trusted men. He had spent hours examining these documents, visualizing every detail in his mind, trying to absorb the magnitude of the shock he was experiencing. But the truth was out there, and now he had to make an inevitable decision. General Moussa Konate was one of Traoré's closest military advisors. Together they had planned Burkina Faso's future through countless nights, the withdrawal of French forces, regional security strategies, army modernization, inviting the Wagner Group to the country. He had consulted Konate's opinion on every critical decision. Sometimes they would even meet with their families for private dinners in the evenings, discussing the country's problems in an intimate atmosphere. Konate's wife had become friends with Traoré's wife, and their children had played together. This wasn't just a business relationship. It was a genuine friendship, but now the documents in his hands showed what a huge mistake this trust and friendship had been. 2 days ago, a conversation caught during routine phone surveillance by the National Intelligence Service changed everything. In fact, this surveillance was also coincidental. Intelligence teams, while monitoring the activities of foreign companies, had started monitoring the communications of a French mining company operating in Burkina Faso. There were suspicions that this company was attempting to illegally profit from the country's gold mines. However, this surveillance, conducted as part of routine operations, had yielded a completely unexpected result. The recordings contained Konate's voice, and they had confirmed this with certainty. Voice analysis experts had conducted tonal comparisons, confirming it beyond any doubt. The person on the other end was not just a representative of the French company operating in Burkina Faso, but also an agent responsible for France's secret operations in Africa. This information made the content of the conversation even more chilling. The phone conversation had lasted exactly 37 minutes, and every minute was filled with confessions that would turn Traoré's world upside down. Are we ready for the operation? The French representative had asked. There was urgency in his voice, as if he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Senior officials in Paris want results. Traoré's popularity is also affecting other leaders in Africa. This situation is harming France's strategic interests in the region. We're almost ready. We just need to place our people in a few more key positions, Konate had replied. There was neither regret nor hesitation in his voice. He spoke as if he were talking about the most natural thing. Traoré is very popular right now. We have to admit that the people really love him. But this situation won't last forever. When economic difficulties increase, when unemployment rises, people will change their tune. That's when we'll step in. What about the situation within the army? Do we have commanders we can trust? Of course we do. We've been preparing the infrastructure for this for years. Some commanders are with us for ideological reasons, others for financial concerns. After all, everyone has a price. Most of the commanders of critical units are now under our control, especially the units around the capital are completely in our hands. Timing is very important. Our friends in Paris. Asterisk, they are getting impatient. Traoré's cooperation with Wagner is weakening France's position in Africa. We must intervene in the situation now. Asterisk, don't worry. Everything will be ready within 6 months, maybe even earlier. Then Burkina Faso will return to its old days. Relations with France will normalize, economic cooperation will increase. The people will eventually understand that this is good for them. Asterisk intelligence teams had also recorded the continuation of the conversation, and this part was even more detailed. Konate was talking about his supporters within the army. He explained in detail which commanders were on their side, which units could be taken control of, which strategic points should be captured first. He said that half of the Air Force Command was already with them and that there were people in important positions in the land forces as well. Asterisk, the most shocking part was that the plan was not just a military coup, but also aimed to render Traoré completely politically ineffective. Asterisk, we're not planning to kill him, Konate had said. That would be too risky and would provoke the people's reaction, but we'll keep him under house arrest. The story we'll present to the media will be this. Traoré lost his mental balance and became unable to govern the country. He was temporarily removed from office for public health. Of course, it won't be temporary, but the people won't know that. Asterisk, so who will govern the country afterward? Asterisk, we'll establish a temporary military council. I'll also be on this council. After 6 months, we'll transition to civilian rule. But by then, the people running for office will be people we control. So ultimately, Burkina Faso will still be under our control. Asterisk, as if this conversation wasn't enough, the recordings showed that Konate had given other details as well. He had explained Traoré's daily routine, what security vulnerabilities existed in the palace, which security guards could be bought. He even knew in detail at what hours Traoré was alone, who he met with, and which meetings. This was not just political betrayal, but also the complete abuse of personal trust. Asterisk, Traoré closed the file and walked toward the window. Ouagadougou's lights were still on, but the first purple colors were beginning to appear on the eastern horizon. For years he had been fighting for this city, for this country breaking French influence, being a true representative of the people, working for Africa's independence. He questioned all these ideals again in the face of a trusted man's readiness to betray them. He wondered how many others there were. How many more people were preparing to stab him in the back? These thoughts gnawed at his mind. Asterisk, he picked up his phone and called Security Chief Madou Orago. Madou was Traoré's childhood friend. They had grown up together, become soldiers together, been promoted together. If there was anyone he could trust in this world, it was Madou. The phone was answered on the second ring. President? Asterisk, Madou, come to the palace immediately. And also, call General Konate. We have an urgent meeting right now. Asterisk, sir, it's just past 5 right now. Asterisk, and don't tell anyone. Just tell Konate that the president wants to meet urgently. Don't give any other details. Asterisk, understood, sir. I am coming right away. Asterisk, there was curiosity in Mamadou's voice, but he didn't ask questions. They had been working together for years, and he knew that Traoré's urgent calls usually had very important reasons. Mamadou would be at the palace in 30 minutes, and Konate would come in 45 minutes. Asterisk, Traoré was thinking about how to use these 45 minutes. He called Konate's wife. The woman answered the phone with a sleepy voice. Asterisk, hello? Asterisk, Fatima? This is Ibrahim. I'm sorry for waking you, but I urgently need to reach Musa. Asterisk, of course, Ibrahim. I'll get him right away. Is there a problem? Asterisk, business matter. Very urgent. Asterisk, There was concern in Fatima's voice. She called Connate to the phone. A few minutes later, Connate's voice was heard. Mr. President, what happened at this hour? Musa, come to the palace immediately. We're facing a very urgent situation. Of course, Mr. President, I'm coming right away. Which issue is it about? I can't talk on the phone. I'll explain when you get here. There was no suspicion in Connate's voice. He even seemed a little curious. Perhaps this showed that he was really a good actor, or maybe he was unaware that the phone taps had been discovered. In either case, what Traoré was going to do didn't change. Madu was at the palace 10 minutes later. When he entered Traoré's room, he saw him standing by the window. There was something strange about Traoré's posture. His shoulders were tense, his hands clasped behind him, his gaze lost in the distance. Mr. President, I'm here. Traoré turned and looked at Mamadou. There was deep fatigue on his face, but also a determined expression. Madu, I'm going to show you something very important. But first know this. The decisions we make tonight will affect our country's future. Understood, sir. What's the situation? Traoré gave Mamadou the file on his desk. Read these, but don't make a sound. We'll talk when you're finished with everything. Madu opened the file and began reading. The first page contained a transcript of the conversation recordings. The second page had the intelligence services analysis. The third page detailed Connate's financial relationships with the company in question. As Madu read, his face changed surprise, anger, disappointment. All these emotions appeared on his face in sequence. How ... How is this possible? He finally murmured ... That's the question I'm asking too. But this is the reality, Madu. Connate has sold us out. Not just us, the country too. What are we going to do? We'll confront him when he arrives. But you'll be here because I don't know how he'll react. Just then, the palace security guard called, Mr. President, General Connate has arrived. Send him in. When Connate entered through the palace gates, he had his usual confident demeanor. His uniform was neatly dressed. His face showed no trace of suspicion. As he walked through the corridor, he greeted the security guards he knew. He even joked with some of them. When he stopped at the door of Traoré's room, he knocked and asked for permission. Come in. Connate entered the room and greeted as usual. When he saw that Madu was in the room, he was a little surprised, but didn't show it. Good morning, Mr. President. Is there a special reason you called so early? Madu being here shows the seriousness of the situation. Traoré was sitting behind his desk, his hands clasped, an unreadable expression on his face. He studied Connate as if seeing him for the first time. Sit down, Musa. Connate sat in the chair across from him. Traoré pushed the file on the desk toward him. Would you examine this file? Connate took the file and began to open it. As he read the first page, the expression on his face changed. His confident demeanor gave way to surprise. On the second page, he became completely tense. There was no point in acting anymore. His eyes went back and forth between the pages as if he couldn't believe what he was reading. What ... What is this, Mr. President? You tell me. Isn't this your voice? Connate put the file on the desk and straightened up. He realized the game was over, but he still showed a defensive reflex. How did you obtain this? That's not important. What's important is that one of my most trusted men is preparing to stab me in the back. Asterisk. The room was plunged into heavy silence. It lasted for several seconds. Connate's breathing had become heavy. Mamadou was barely holding himself back. Traoré was watching both of them. Connate took a deep breath. Mr. President, things are not as simple as you think. You see the state of the country. The economic crisis is deepening. Popular dissatisfaction is increasing. Maybe ... maybe ... Asterisk, maybe what? Traoré's voice had hardened. Asterisk, maybe it's the right decision to hand my country over to foreign powers? We have to be pragmatic. Completely severing our relations with France will cause us to become isolated in the region. Look at Mali, Niger. They also tried similar paths, but in the end, asterisk, in the end what? Asterisk, in the end, they preserved their independence. Their peoples are determining their own destinies, and you're plotting to prevent this? Connate shook his head. I was trying to protect you. If things get out of control, I wanted at least a smooth transition. We weren't planning to kill you. Asterisk, this statement had deeply wounded Traoré. The man was trying to make it seem like he was protecting him, but in reality, he was making plans to return the country to the old colonial order. Moreover, while doing this, he was acting as if he was doing him a favor.